Oh, now why did my camera fall right when it was time? Peace to the saints. It's the one and only. It's the big homie. It's your favorite YouTuber's favorite YouTuber. It's Fax Kellerman. It's Freshly Snipes. It's El Guapo. Anyways, we're here with the remnant. Gorgeous Andre Taylor. I yield the floor for the gentleman to reintroduce himself.
I'm just glad to be back with you, Saint. I'm ready to do another one, and thank you for having me again. I was talking to you before the show about how incredibly voracious you are with your presence online. The last show we did, we laughed about it. You did two after me. I haven't seen anybody that could fade you. Nobody. I'm serious.
Appreciate you.
It's impressive.
I appreciate it. It's Hustlemania 14 for those who didn't know. And we got the master of the game right here. This topic is really important. I think we're saving the world with this one. And what we're asking ourselves is, what is a perfect woman to a real man? And in addition to getting into that conversation, as we go through, I might make some tweaks on this curriculum I have for our training center for the females. We have a whole education that we give them over a lifetime to make sure that they can develop into a proper wife mother. So what we'll do is we'll use that as a guide for the conversation. No one knows women better than the great, illustrious, gorgeous Dre. So we're going to build it. We're going to break it down. We're going to put it back together during this conversation. Can I show you a little bit of what we got, and then you can just start kicking it?
Let's go.
All right, let's roll. Here we go. So, ladies and saints, I broke it down age-wise. We have this for the boys as well. So it's age 2 to 7, 9 to 12, 13 to 17, 18 to 24, 25 to 35, and 35 plus. And the reason that I broke it down in that way is because 2 to 7, we're talking about young children. 9 to 12, they're thinking on their own. 13 to 17, they're going through puberty. 18 to 24, she should be settling down for family. 25 to 35, she's in married life. 35 plus, menopause is hitting, biology is changing. So those are the groupings that I've made so far. And Dre, what we're trying to figure out is what ingredients do we want to put in the female early on so that by the time she's 18 to 24 and she's looking to settle down with a man as a wife mother, she's qualified. She has the right instincts. She's on program. She's not half-stepping and misstepping. I yield the floor.
Pardon me. I want to bring into consideration the structure of how you laid everything and what are we up against in order for us to have a resolution in this problem that we see exists, especially within this country. It is those things that are darn near impossible to overcome. What overcome? What are those things? Her environment, what her family looks like, what the women around her look like, what the people in her community looks like, whether the boys look like. When I say look like, what is being taught to her, what's being planted in her? Because say they come to this program that we have, that you have. I say we have because I'm with you.
I appreciate you, and we need you.
And we plant all these beautiful seeds, and we know that they could win, and then they go back into an environment, and it's undone. I always say that people resort back to what they're comfortable with. So if we don't have a continual education to offset the 24/7 promotion of hedonism and all these things, and everything we do, it'd be undone. And that's what I find the problem is with what I teach, right? It is the continual output. You're not good enough. The continual output, what you need to be good enough as far as the system is concerned. So that's my concern. I know everything that you're putting down, it has the capacity to work, but I don't want to just overlook the opposition that we're facing on a continual basis, the billions of dollars of promotion to our children, our kids, and how do we offset that so that what we put down works, it's efficient, and we can protect it, right? So that would be my only thing in trying to come up with a resolution or to add to what you've placed down there, right? Because I'm always thinking about opposition. Always thinking about opposition. So what do we do about the opposition? What you have, it will work. I know it.
I like what you said. You kind of inspired me to add a piece here. So from ages 2 to 7, the first piece on identity, and it sounds utterly basic, and it is, what is a girl, obviously to a female child, and making sure, and you inspired me to put this piece, biological, not man-made. Whereas I think that a lot of females come up thinking that being a woman consists of, are you wearing makeup? Are you wearing high heels? All of these products that you buy, as opposed to that which you inherently are. You're born a female. You don't become one by making yourself look pretty using things that you pay for, which is consumer focus. And I think that starts the basics in self-esteem. And for a lot of females, it's externally manipulated. They're waiting for the world to validate their worth. They're waiting for the world to tell them that they look good, and really defining for our girls that really you need to look for what your family says and what your husband says. And beyond that, what people say doesn't matter.
But how do we overcome what society is feeding her? How do we overcome what the TV media, with movies, what the internet, how do we overcome? Because that's what we're facing now. If we look in particularly the Black community, and we see the preachers of the Black community, which is entertainment, right? And the people that,
good point.
that are the preachers of the Black community, right? And they're no shade on anybody, but the truth is the truth. They are Megan and Cardi, and they're looking like they are empowered women. They're looking like they're having it their way. And how do we overcome this onslaught of seduction with billions of dollars behind that seduction? My whole thing is, if we don't make this pretty, right? If we don't make this valuable, it's the value that our people are so elevating, right? You got to have the Gucci, you got to have that. So the system have mastered, you are somebody if you obtain this or obtain that. So when you have these preachers that are looking beautiful, that look like they own the world and having it their way, what is the defense we can put in? Because we got to think about not just the offensive game. We got to play defense. So once we get these young 1 to 7 and we're giving her identity, we're up against the billions of dollars that are promoting to her, no, that is not your identity. No, you need this and you need more. What do you think we do? What do you think we do about that?
And, as you're speaking on this, I'm just going through, jotting it down, because you're inspiring some great notes. And so aside from gender specific education, so now I look at this as dual gender education. These are things that both the male and the female need. And the number one thing is visibility. When the children are very young and impressionable, removing visibility from some of the demons you referenced, the Meg Thee Stallion, the Cardi B, the demonic music. And a lot of that is going to come from making sure that they don't have access to screens, especially screens independently. And I would even go so far as to say, in that first age range that we identify, age 2 to 7, there should be no access to screens whatsoever at any level. Then following that, when we talk about that age range of 8 to 12, then they get access to screens only during mealtime, if say the family was watching a movie, or during a specific educationally necessary situation. You're on the smart board teaching the child something, and otherwise up until age 12, they have no access to screens other than I was eating a meal with my family and watching a movie that my father selected, or I was in a course learning organic chemistry and they were using a smart board to write up the formulas, up to age 12. Then following that, they may have some access to devices solely for the purpose of learning their business skills, and they'd only have access to it an hour at the beginning of the day, hour at the end of the day. And being able to manage that visibility is going to be the critical piece. I yield the floor.
Let me tell you the scenario that I was teaching about one time. And I remember growing up early, 16 years old in the Christian church, and they had these Africans from Kenya, or a guy named Joe Kao was a very powerful preacher. They called him Apostle Joe Kao. Very powerful, one of the most powerful speakers that I've ever heard before about a Kenya. Rest in peace. He died a couple of years ago. And when he came and he was speaking to the congregation, it was very transformative for me, right? And a lot of people were so influenced. I'm going somewhere with this. They were so influenced by his messaging, right? He was so powerful. He talked about how when they were in Africa, when they have worship, they'll worship for 2 hours in Africa. Amina, 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 Lele, something they were teaching us about Amen forever. And they would be in this space of worship, and it made the Americans, people here, feel like, well, my God, how could they just be in such a worship for so long? So what I told the remnant is that, let me broaden your mind about this idea, because you feel like people are more committed to Christianity or whatever in Africa, right? And I said, it has been noted that sometimes that is the truth because of the lack of access to things that America has, right? So if you go to Africa, there's different principalities within that area that Africans have learned to deal with. And they seem extremely strong. And you, as an American going into that environment, you haven't faced those demonic oppressions, and that you haven't faced it there. So it might be something offsetting to you. I said, but on the flip side, what I have witnessed is that when Africans, a lot of them, have come to this country, they haven't faced the demonic force of wealth, of loose women, of white women. They haven't faced it.
Not the white women.
I'm saying. So Marquett, when after all their beautiful worship, all their strong, they're facing a demon that they're unfamiliar with here. They're facing liberties that they're unfamiliar here. And as long as they were there, they fall here, right? So my thing is, what I'm asking is, when we take away things, are we preparing them for the demon at hand? Right? Because if we're taking something away, preventing them from facing the demon at hand, what happens when they face the demon? Or how do we prepare them to face the demon that is? Right? See, that's a tricky thing right there, because those demons are the reality of the world. So not only do we want to, I feel like, kind of isolate, but also, as we're isolating, inform. Isolate, inform, not isolate without informing. Isolate and inform. This is here. This is reality. We want you to understand there's slick guys in the world. There's pimps, there's hustlers, you know what I'm saying? So as we're isolating, we got to inform, because those demons are going to take advantage of the innocence of isolation.
Very wise. And threw some notes down again, which is teaching about the devil and its various forms. So we have promiscuity, and really want to draw the story on how promiscuity leads to loneliness, and then skittle guzzlers and all the various types of deviants that they'll encounter. I think that's really wise, as opposed to leaving them in ignorance. At least give them a framework through which they can understand these things. Very thoughtful. And by the way, folks, if you have any comments, questions, use the information in the banner and as well in the description. Also, if you like any of what Dre is saying, his YouTube channel is linked in the title of this video. You just hit that title. It'll take you straight over to his channel where you can subscribe. And as well, his book is linked in the description. We talked about it in our last session. Great stuff here. Anyway, shout out to Joseph, came in the very first person via Venmo, writes, peace to the saints tuition. I appreciate you. May I also acknowledge via Venmo, Justin writes, peace to the saints for the upcoming Hope all is well. Things are fantastically well. Shout out to Andre. He writes, peace to the saints indeed. May I also acknowledge Kensuke coming using the Stripe link. Shout out to Giovanni, writes, thank you, Mr. Taylor, for your great work that is The Road to Paradise. Is that a name of a particular work of yours?
That's my first book.
Okay. And I like the title of that. He writes, while reading it, I felt as if God was trying to reach me through your works. Thank you greatly to you as well, Mr. Burton. You are both formidable and admirable men. Listen, the man has a catalog. So if they go on Amazon, would they be able to find that piece as well, The Road to Paradise?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. May I also acknowledge via PayPal, Iram writes, Assalamu alaikum. I pray you and your family are well, inshallah. Iram, I appreciate that. Wa alaikum assalam. Yes, and I thank you. We can use those du'as at this time. Shout out to Akash writes, haters are going to hate, but we keep moving forward. Peace to the saints. Oh, yeah, you better believe it. Shout out to Dominic writes, peace to the saints tuition came in by PayPal. And shout out to Chris, came in using the Stripe link in the description of the video via Cash App. Mr. Mechu writes, peace to the saints, supporting this great work. And Michael comes in by Cash App, writes, thank you for the laughs and game. Oh, truly a pleasure. Let's get back to this work. Okay, so we got that one down. And in terms of the females, what we also want to define early, and we have this concept, Dre, of husband, father. So not separate things, but husband dash father and then wife dash mother. And within this thing of ours, our idea is that it's really a package deal. When you get together, you should be producing children. And we say wife, mother, wife before mother, because wife is your most important identity. We say husband before father. Husband is your most important identity. The parents prioritize each other. And this is for the good of the overall family. And so we teach this identity as a part of life trajectory when the children are young, saying, hey, these are the things that should be included in your journey that we call life. And also, especially for the girls, we teach the trajectory of life, which is to say, you will have a menstruation, you will get wrinkles, your hair will start to thin. You started with no teeth, you will end with no teeth. You came to life, you will end your life. All of these are a part of the natural trajectory. Wrinkles don't need to be covered with makeup when you have a man who loves you. And so we teach this wholeness in an effort to give realistic expectations for what it is to be human, as opposed to being a plastic creation, a Kim Kardashian kind of situation. Mm. Shout out to Michael writes, the big homie, peace of the saints. I also acknowledge Jose comes in a significant way, writes, tuition paying what I owe. Got introduced to the Assassin, New York yesterday with Cisco and Brian, peace of the saints. Privileged to learn game from the best. So shout out to the section over there in New York. Shout out to all the folks who are really putting in this work, especially my leaders. Shout out to Brian, the executive. Shout out to Cisco. I also acknowledge AC. He writes, use technology for business and learning purposes. You better believe it. The Black Monte Crisco writes, the nature of the demonic challenge also changes from generation to generation as well. You know, that's something I wonder about. I wonder, does it change from generation to generation? Or does the method of distributing it change from generation to generation, the method of promoting it? I saw a reel earlier today, Dre, and it was about how all of the TV shows, when they represent the father, there's a social scientist did a study. When they represent the father in the family, he's a bumbling fool. You know, he's always making mistakes, forgetting things. And then the mom's super competent, and the dad is the laughing stock. And that's a programming. But tell me this, Dre, you ever watch that show, Living Single, back in the day? Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah. And it was a good show. It was a funny show. And I was feeling nostalgic. And I saw it pop up on one of these streaming platforms. And I took a look at it and I was watching it. And then it hit me. And even the same thing with Moesha, it hit me. I was like, wow, this is really some feminist propaganda. All the women are single. It's called Living Single. They're all single. One is possibly a lesbian because she never deals with men. And they're constantly talking about their career. They're careerists. One of them's a lawyer. One of them's a CEO of a magazine company. None of them have kids. They're all in their 30s. And then you listen to how they talk about men. And I was like, damn, I didn't realize this as a youngster. I just thought it was funny, but they were implanting subconscious ideas and they're promoting certain ways of life as normal and things to strive for. You have any revelations like that on things that you look back on and now in your maturity and wisdom, you say, you know what, that wasn't quite right?
All of it is programming for sure. But Um, this is the reason why I created the remnant, right? If it's something that you dislike or you disapprove of, I don't complain about it. I create what I want, right? So I say, I don't like this out there. I'm not about to complain about it. If you don't like it, create what you want. So I create what I want. And so I did a class a long time ago that's very popular, and it talks about value, right? I think that I talked about value back 20 years ago. I have a video on here almost 20 years ago when I talked about the value.
On YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. And so, because everything breaks down to value, right? So if you, like in sales, they got something called the takeaway close. You know, if somebody comes in there and they want to buy a car and they say, yeah, there's a red one and a white one, but you can't have the blue one. Well, where the focus is going to go on the blue one. You know what I'm saying? It's a takeaway close, right? And so the remnant is the takeaway close. The remnant is the building of value, because everything breaks down to value in life, right? So if you take something away, especially for our community, and I tell our community, I'm not here for you. The value is not with you, right? As a matter of fact, I'm not going to be on the street corner. I'm not going to be convincing you. I'm not going to be trying to preach to you, right? Because you're not important, right? So the remnant is to pull away and say, this idea is important. These expectations are important, right? This accountability is important. And it's so important that we don't want you to be a part of it. And so it's like, it makes people feel almost insulted, because Christianity has made people feel so important, right? Oh, I'm so important. You're so needed. I'm so, you know what I'm saying? And that devalues something that's important. If everybody has access to it, it devalues it, right? I remember I was talking to a dude that a lot of people know, and I just talk about it, Jay Morrison, one time. And, you know, I was trying to give him some counsel on something he lost this little thing that he had called the Black House. And I was like telling him, listen, you need to create a space that is not for everybody, because I understand how you're thinking about community, right? But you can't attract our people like that. You can attract nobody like that. But unless you designate a place that's for exclusive people.
Marketing genius, folks. Take your notes. Keep going. Keep going.
You can't build value. And I said, Jay, I know you got the Black House, but you need to create a space that is exclusive, that just anybody can't go to. And everybody will try to get in there. But you just created a space that everybody can go, and it's not valuable. It doesn't look valuable.
When you say everybody, you're saying every Black person?
Yeah, I'm just saying that you can just go there just because it's available for you, right?
So you're saying it would be a subsection of Black folks, is what you're saying?
A subsection that's necessary, that you can't go here, right? And you need to make that be known, right? Because now coming through these doors require a certain expectation, and that builds value. Everything is value. Let me give you this one thing here. When I was doing police accountability, and I was dealing with Seattle Foundation, which is the largest funders in the state, behind the Bill and Belinda Gates Foundation. They billions of dollars of funding, right? So whenever I went to funders to help with police accountability, I didn't go asking. I was doing my work myself. And when I went to funders, I didn't ask for help. I gave an opportunity. Now listen, you guys out there. I didn't say, will you help me? I said, this is what we're doing already. This is what the finished product looks like. We're already working towards what we're doing already. Here's an opportunity for you to be a part of what we're doing. So I was playing from a position of strength and not a position of need. When you're playing from a position of need, nobody wants to help. You have
Right.
to play for a position of strength where you're saying this is an opportunity for you. So here I am going to Nick Handauer, the billionaire, Seattle Foundation, and all these funders saying, this is an opportunity that I'm giving you. You don't have to have the opportunity because somebody else will, like the Seahawks or whatever, football, right? So whenever I presented something, I never went asking. I went offering an opportunity. And you can offer an opportunity if you're already doing the work and you're already going in the direction that people could see. This is what he's doing already. Here's an opportunity for you to get involved, right? So now you don't look like the small person. Now you don't look like the needy person. So I'm seeing, as we were talking earlier about educating girls and but it's still a value thing to me. I see everything with value. How do we build value? How do we make people want something? Because they gotta want it. It's got to burn like they want the fast life, like they want to be a billionaire, like they want to be a star, like they want, and they run to it with all their might. We have to create something opposing to make it desirable. And the only way I know within our community is you got to pull it on back. This ain't for you. You got to pull it on back, baby. Pull it on back. This ain't for you. Right? And it makes them feel like, well, what do I got to do for it to be for me? Okay, now we can start working with you because now you're teachable. But as long as you think what Christianity has taught you that you're so valuable, I can't pull greatness out of you. I can't pull the greatness out of you because Christianity has made you believe that you're so wonderful and they'll do anything to get you to be a part and all. No, we ain't gonna do everything to get you a part. These principles are valuable. This integrity is valuable, right? How you treat your community, how you think about men and women, how you think about that's valuable over here. And if you don't have that, we don't want you. So we got to start pulling away. You got to establish that, especially in the Black community here in America. There has to be a cut-off line in which we start making a line, so to speak, in the sand to build value, to build high expectation. As long as everybody's included, it'll never be built. So we got to start the exclusion process. We got to start excluding. I've heard you speak on it before.
Absolutely.
I've heard you speak on this before. So I know you know exactly what I'm talking about. And it sounds harsh, but that's the reality. Right?
Can you clip that 8 minutes, at least 8 minutes? I think it starts at about 20 minutes in, and make a 8-minute video of that. Like how to make yourself or organization attractive, the power of exclusion. I think that's some great game. And really, folks might not realize that that's business right there. That's business, that's marketing. And I always encourage business thinking. You know, people might say, oh, that's cold. No, that's efficient. And when you'll never find a pursuit where everyone's on the same pursuit. I'll give you an example. Some people like to play basketball, some want to golf, some want to box. But this money game, that's a game everybody wants to play. And so winning at that one is critically important. And because you've had a higher number of players, you've had people test every which way how to do it. So business thinking and business logic is the best of thinking, the best of logic, the most efficient. And I apply that to all of my relationships, personal, familial, and romantic. And I appreciate you sharing that. When I agree with you wholeheartedly, and the challenge with a lot of folks, one, they're effeminate in their thinking, and the base instinct of the females to include and to be egalitarian rather than hierarchical. And people who don't have value feel like they're scared to say, hey, this is what it is, because they're scared people are going to jump ship. When in reality, when people jump ship, it becomes a better ship. You know, when we get the dirt balls out the way, it becomes a higher quality, better ship. And we were just boxing this weekend up in Toronto. Shout out to Toronto, Sasson, Canada. Shout out to the executive up there, Ramsey. Shout out to Jermaine. Shout out to the whole team. Wonderful event. But we were boxing, and one of the guys had asked me, he said, Marquett, what do you think is missing from my boxing? I said, his mindset. You're not mean enough. You're not out there to beat somebody up. He says, well, how do I get that mindset? I said, one, you're going to have to train. You have to put it in your actual body and your mechanics, but also it's easy for me to go in there and beat somebody up because I really think that they should be beaten up. They should be beaten up by me. I think that I am better, I am superior, and that my knuckles should crush the bones in their face. I really feel like that. So when they hit me, I'm damn near offended. I'm damn near offended at the idea that they think that they can punch on me. I should be punching on them. And when you have that fundamental belief, it's going to drive you because it's identity. If you identify as an athlete, you're going to work out. You're not going to get fat. It does not jive with your self-view. Mindset is huge. And separating yourself, because who wants to be in a club that everybody can be a part of? And that's exactly what you're describing. That's why when you go to the club, some people can't get in, right? Yeah. No, I appreciate that. You really sharp. Now, one thing we haven't done is we've mentioned remnant a few times, even last conversation. Tell us a little bit about that.
The remnant is like I explained earlier, those that understand expectation of self, of family, of culture, of identity. And I used to use different kind of words before, let me get just a quick breakdown.
Okay.
The concept of the remnant is everything that we've been indoctrinated to in this country has come from the American indoctrination, American society. That is not an original mind. You was taught what you like. You was taught to what to hate. You was taught how to think. You was taught how to think about family. You was taught how to think about women. You were taught that from America. You don't have your original mind. You lost your original mind. It's like if we believe that the first enslaved people came here at 1619, I always say you could rest assured that those individuals that came at that time and a little bit afterwards with their own mind, there was a great resistance to being pushed down to feel like you're nobody. There was a resistance. There probably was lots of murder earlier than it was later. But then I'm going somewhere. But what happened after 20 years of people being born in the condition that you're less than, where you lose a point of reference to that original mind? And then what happened after 50 years? All you have is what you've been indoctrinated to believe. I have a friend, Johnny, who passed away a couple of years ago. And one day he said to me, "Oh, Dre, I ain't nothing but an old convict." I said, "Man, don't ever say that to me." And I repeated to him, "Bruh," I said, "it's just like the indoctrination where enslaved people that ran away from slavery felt they were criminals because it was a law. You were so indoctrinated that running away from this oppression, this hatred, this evil in your mind, you think you're a criminal." So what do you think happened after 100 years? So everybody is, in particular African Americans, are walking around with a foreigner's mind inside of them, which is why they have the response to me as a free thinking Black man, a negative response because I'm offending the slave in them, right? When I was doing police accountability, they were upset with me because he's not supposed to be talking like this. He's not supposed to be acting like this. White man is supposed to. A white man is supposed, I'm familiar with that. But he just thinks he's better than everybody else. Who do you think you are, right? That's that indoctrinated mind that we're dealing with. So when I'm speaking from this place, what place are you speaking from? I am a conqueror. I come to conquer everything around me, right? And let me, a little sidebar real quick.
That's good.
I come to conquer everything around me, right? But in our community, we celebrate the gangster and the wealthy man. Those things are the celebrated things within the community. It's familiar to them, right? So the whole community is built around the idea of this wealthy man and the idea of this gangster because they've never seen what a conqueror looks like. That's why I'm an offense to them. They've seen what a gangster look like. They've seen what wealthy people look like. And I might have said this before, but when the conqueror comes to a city or a town to conquer a land, there's plenty gangsters and plenty wealthy people in it. But he possesses a different way of operating, a different mindset. Not the mindset of the gangster who just wants to let you know that he could kill you and he's tough. Not the mindset of the wealthy guy who knows how to manipulate systems to get money, know how to get your money. Not that. This is the mind of a conqueror. He moves differently. He don't move like a wealthy person. He doesn't move like the gangster. Doesn't think like that. And I don't think like that. Matter of fact, those things are beneath me. I come to submit and conquer all things around me, right? Which I have done and which I continue to do with the mind of a conqueror, right? Somebody said, well, what do you mean with the mind of a conqueror? You can't get it. You will never be able to get it. You ain't gonna be able to get it. You're gonna take offense. You will take offense. Some of the people out there are taking offense right now because you're feeling, who does he think he is?
That's right.
I am who I've conquered. Everything that you go through in life that you conquer, you own it. I got ownership of a lot of things. That's who I am. Not what I say, what I've conquered. Right? So just there's so much, Marquett, man. And I've been sharing so much for so many years. I've been online for 20 years, right? Listen, and only a few people have ever been able to understand it, and I'm comfortable with that. I'm a conqueror. What do you mean you're comfortable with that? I have learned to be content in obscurity, where hate and praise become the same thing to me. Content in obscurity. Right? So that I can't be controlled by either hate or praise. But if you haven't learned to be content in obscurity, when nobody's praising your name, when nobody's saying, oh, Gorgeous Dre this and Gorgeous Dre that, and woo, no, when nobody's saying that and you're good right there, that's being content in obscurity. That's the mind of a conqueror. I say you can't get it. So if you haven't learned to be content in obscurity, you're going to be impressed by the flash. You're going to be impressed by the bag. You're going to be impressed by the white billionaire or the Jewish billionaire. Those things will be impressive to you. None of those things are impressive to me because I got the mind of a conqueror. If you can be impressed by that, you're just a part of the rich man's mindset, right? Or maybe the gangster's mindset. Maybe Suge Knight impressed you. Maybe gangsters and gangs and maybe those things, people who have bodies, maybe those things impress you, right? But you'll never be a conqueror. Right. So it's just so much, man, Marquett.
It is. But, we've gotten started and that's the key. I think that this is one of those talks that men will listen to and they'll catch 30% and they play it back, catch another 5%, happen to listen to it again a couple of years later, get them another 50%, and it'll carry them along because, they say when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. Sometimes people haven't had the requisite experience or positioning to understand what you're saying. That's why I always find it comical when folks can tell you what they would do if they were a millionaire. Like, well, you don't have $1 million. You don't know what you do. You're guessing. Even if a woman says, oh, I'd be this kind of mother, you don't know. You're guessing. And so often it's not until you're in the hot seat that you know how you're going to perform in the hot seat. And people are so deluded. There's a statistic on how much men overestimate their ability to fight. It's in you. Every man thinks they could fight, but there's a major difference between someone who's trained to fight and someone who doesn't. And that's what I always tell folks, because we do a lot of boxing in Assassin. I say, listen, you don't have anything to fear in this world because we're training you every week minimum. You're throwing real hands, you're taking real punches. All the other guys are hoping that they can out-bluff each other. They're hoping that when there's a conflict or when they done ran their mouth too much, they can maybe based on their height or their size, they can out-bluff you and scare you. But in terms of actual experience, some of them have never had a bloody nose. Some of them have never swung a punch. And if they have, last time they did it was in middle school.
Mm.
So it's going to be a lot different when it actually occurs in real life. And you're preparing for that battle every week. And I promise you, when it comes to the conflict, you're going to be at ease. I've been here before. I know how to win here. And they're going to be behind the 8 ball, so to speak.
Mm.
And there's a certain understanding, like there's another, and I'm always using boxing as a metaphor. I think it's the best because unlike other sports are pretend conflict. Like football, American football is the pretend of like a battlefield and 2 warring armies, but it's not a battlefield and nobody's dying out there. Boxing is the most direct conflict. And, someone was saying to me, he was like, wearing the headgear, I never wear headgear because I do MMA and I can't see out of the side, so I can't see the punch. And I told him, you don't need to see the punch. You're supposed to feel the punch. You're supposed to feel where it's coming from. You don't need to see it. You don't need your eyes. And he doesn't know what I'm talking about, but the more he is in the game, he's going to realize like, oh, he's right. I can feel. Like I can see the way he moves his shoulders and I know where the punch is coming from. I can see based on his feet where the punch should be coming from. I can feel it. But to tell someone that, they don't know until they're knee deep in the game. And I think that's a lot of what you're saying. A lot of what you're saying, they won't know until they've experienced more life. And that's why at a certain level, especially when you're raising boys, you can tell them so many things. And hopefully they have faith in you as a father to trust you and obey it. But that they won't really understand until they see it up close. You could tell a young man, wear a condom 1,000,000 times, but some of them won't learn till they get burned. You won't learn till you burn.
That's right. Can I talk about this elephant in the room? What do you mean elephant in the room? Elephant in the room of Black men. What is the elephant in the room? The total fear of the white man. The total fear and dismantling of who you want to be or thought you were, right? I just want to talk about this for a minute because in our communities, we do celebrate the tough guy image. We celebrate this. And I might have alluded to these things before that when I was growing up, it was never that I celebrated. I was raised in LA and the toughest guy and gang member, whatever, was never impressive to me because I always thought about how the meek white men always dominated him. If you think about COINTELPRO and the domination of the Nation of Islam, the domination of the Black Panthers, the domination of our bright minds that we had, the boys, and just the total domination that white men has done over Black men that have made subconsciously you fear him, right? From the shoulders, you probably could beat him up. I'm not talking about that. Systematically, you understand you have been dominated by this white man, right? Why? Because you don't have the mind of a conqueror. You have the mind of a rich guy, want to be rich or want to be tough, right? So I always say that the strong control the weak, but the wise control the strong. So you faced him and you've been defeated over and over and over again because you haven't you haven't identified yourself as the conqueror because you're the slave. You can't match him intellectually because you feel you can't. Not because you can't, but because you feel you can't. You think that he's smarter than you. You think that he has more position than you. I don't think that. And when you know who you are, those same people that have dominated you when they are familiar with an information that they don't control, they will come and submit to you. It's not submit because you're tougher. White supremacy wasn't done with just violence. It was done with brilliance. Why should they stop it? They're not going to stop it. They shouldn't stop it because we wouldn't stop it. Until something is presented that submits white supremacy in the world that it's created, it will continue. But if something is presented that minimizes white supremacy will bow down gracefully to you. It becomes a battle of knowledge, because every country in the world is vested in great thinkers. Everyone. You think it's money. You think it's weapons. That's the secondary. Every country is vested in the great thinker. Before World War II, they wanted to have these scientists that knew how to create the bombs. And America took a lot of those scientists, brought them here. The investment in the greatest thinkers, that's what every country's vested in, the great thinker, right? So you have the mind of the slave, of the wealthy man and the gang member, right? Or the gangster. Something that is like fool's play to them. That's why you can't face them, because you're impressed with them. You're impressed with them. You can't face, and they know you're impressed with them. I am not impressed with them. You can't have 250 years of free labor and impress me with whatever you've achieved. I have an expectation that you should have achieved everything you've achieved with that free labor. Any people, any country that had that free labor should produce what America has produced. I am not impressed, but I am impressed with somebody that can come from the gutter and rise up in an environment that is diametrically opposed to you. That's impressive. That lets me know I am indeed greater, because you could not walk 1,000 miles in my moccasins, but I can walk in yours. You couldn't walk 1,000 miles in my moccasins, right? I know that. And all I'm saying to you, once you start exercising true identity of who you are, those same people that you're intimidated by will come and submit. You didn't think I had this whole state submitted? I could talk about it openly. I could talk because it really happened. The governor, the mayor, the chief of police, the sheriff, senators, U.S. senators, state senators, all submitted to a man who used to be a pimp, to a man whose mom was a hoe and dad was a pimp.
By the way, we got to try to ease on.
Oh man, I forgot. You got to remind
That's
me.
All good. That's all
good. Good.
Yeah, yeah. Nah, you hit me one time before. I was like, I think we can get by. I think we're gonna get by.
Okay.
But nah, keep it going.
Oh man, I forgot that. Yeah, but
no, it's all good.
I'm just saying that I'm only an example. I'm nothing for you to be offended by. I'm an example that it's your time, but you can't see it, so you're missing it. It's your time, but you got to open yourself up. No one's coming to save us but us. You keep looking at them for your redemption. They're not coming to save you. We're coming to save you. We are the ones that are coming, and we have achieved success, but you want to be offended. Let me just throw this out there. So many people were upset because I was on here with Marquett. Mad for whatever your reasons are about what you feel about him or whatever, right? All I really wanted to say is what the baby's gonna do. Y'all got all the tears. What are the babies gonna do if you taking all the tears? This is a man I support. I will continue to support him regardless of whatever your issues were, because I can build. I teach that. I don't have to agree 100% of the time. He doesn't have to agree with me. It's unsensible. The most powerful men in the world don't agree 100% of the time, but they build where they build. You think I'm going to let anybody come between us building together? My appreciation, my respect level for this man the work that he's doing out there, fighting, talking about issues, and you still worried about the next mixtape. And this man be all over the country pulling people's coattail about their behaviors like a true champion. I salute, and he got my support. I don't care what you think about him. Now, don't come on here no more. Don't come on my page no more, because a few of you guys did, and you see what happened. Don't come on my page. If you want to know, I'm going to support him. So just get that out of the way, okay? I'm going to support our people that's doing this work. So don't ask me any questions.
Not them harassing you. Not them harassing.
Crying. It's crying. They crying. Dre, why you go over there? I ain't got validate. The man been validated on his own. You don't need me to validate him. What is you talking about? Validate? You guys are, it is just, yeah. You got no class. Go ahead, Marquett.
That's the right word. That validation piece is really interesting. And I hope that people are really soaking up what you're saying. And the reason I appreciate you so much, because I see the beauty in you. And whereas a person who is not right in their soul, they see the strength, the beauty, the articulation, the power, the force. They either get scared or they get intimidated. And then that goes downstream to jealousy. But when you identify with someone, you feel pride. You feel greater being in the presence of a great man. You feel like that's my champion. That's someone who represents me, represents my culture and my way, my tribe. And that's how it should be. The validation piece is fascinating. And it goes back to us submitting in the hells of North America to the ways of foreigners, those who are alien to us. Recently, a young lady had said to me, she met me on one day, asked for my contact info, and then messaged me the next day and said, hey, why didn't you follow up with me? I said, because you were supposed to follow up with me. She says, why is that? You're the man you're supposed to lead. I said, I agree with you. And my leadership to you when I met you is I said, you should be throwing yourself at me. And she says, throwing myself at you? You haven't earned that. I say, no, actually I have. Because I'm vetted and verified the world over. All of my works are public knowledge. What I've accomplished is public knowledge on record. You're the one that's in question. I'm not in question. There are more good women than good men. So yes, you should throw yourself at me. Acknowledge what I actually am. She says, well, you don't think you need to prove anything? I said, to who, what, and why? You're not an authority. You'd have to be above me for me to try to impress you. Like when you go to work, you try to impress your boss, but your boss doesn't show up to work trying to impress you. So if I'm the leader, I'm the boss, then it makes sense for me to try to impress you. You need to get on program. But the problem is that she's using the paradigm of the white man and woman, and then she's trying to subject me to that. And always as the black man, you're going to come in at the bottom of that hierarchy. And so I had to tell her, like, hey, you lost. She said, I grew up in Atlanta. I grew up around all black people. I was like, they must have been lost too. They must have been lost too. That's what it's like. And the sad thing is when you're around other people who are lost, you don't think of it as being lost. You think of it as being at home. And you don't know where your home is. That's a problem. Let me acknowledge some of the folks supporting the work.
Go ahead.
Shout out to Malachi. He writes, I heard your pitch podcast episode, man. That was back in the day in Chicago. He writes, respect for sticking with education despite the doubts. You turn criticism into feedback-driven development always. No one knew your tech better than you. Glad you proved them wrong. Peace to the Saints. Oh, absolutely. And, even we're in Caravana, the Saints and I, and we're still talking business. If you watch the live stream, we're out in Caravana, the floozies everywhere. We're still talking business. Shout out to Wavy. He writes, I am Verde el Conquistador. I am a conqueror. Absolutely. County Man came in supporting the work. Now, so acknowledge Conscript Media. I thought somebody else. He writes, it's amazing how loved ones I share the ism with mostly feel too prideful to learn from the realest teachers when mostly they need it. Been waiting for years for this collab. Much respect. Oh, absolutely. And, I appreciate this collab, too, because it's so rare that I can really listen and enjoy being a part of the audience. You know, I can appreciate the conversation just as much as everybody tuning in. Shout out to Dwayne, comes in by PayPal. He writes, when my son reaches puberty, should I actively guide him to avoid sexual activity until he's an adult? How should I approach his attraction to girls? I'm concerned that being too restrictive could backfire, but I also don't want him being a Skittle guzzler. I'm glad you asked this. This is really important. Number one, our great grandparents were starting to have kids at 16, 17, 18, 19, and they had 8, 9, 10, 11 children, which is the natural way. That's number one. Number two, I've been throughout the Middle East where they do separate the children by gender during the times when the sexual desire is quite high. And there is no doubt that it does often lead to inappropriate behaviors on both the male and the female side. I'd highly recommend against trying to hold him off on sexual activity until he's an adult. I would recommend, similar to what Dre said earlier, is the educational piece is really important. I'd let them know the difference. Hey, you know, you got 3 types of women. Here's a main one. Here's a side one. And here's a one hitter quitter. You engage these 3 different types of women in different ways to protect yourself. Your trajectory needs to land you with a wife mother. That's on a time schedule. Make sure you're on time. And, you know, we're going to play the game according to reality. You might need you a belly warmer every now and then. It's better that you avoid that. But we have to acknowledge, like, I don't like when guys my age will look at a guy who's 16, 18, 19 and tell them to be abstinent. I'm like what? I remember being 16, 18, 19. That's a different thing. But what you can do is teach self-respect and self-esteem, because I would notice some of the young guys that didn't have self-respect and self-esteem, they'll deal with any kind of female. There was nothing too low. I respect that you have a desire, but one thing I learned is that, and shout out to Willie D, I like the way he put it. He says, deal with a woman who has something to lose. If a woman doesn't have anything to lose, she doesn't have a good family, a good reputation, she's going to burn you down, and she'll burn herself down with you because she doesn't care. When you deal with women who have females who have something to lose, you'll be in a much better situation. But we don't want our young men living in unnatural ways. And the most important thing for your youth is to educate them, number one, and then number two, keep them busy. Athletics and constant engagement, and keep them away from adult content. I think they'll be fine. And when they're around 18 to 24, you need to start educating them that, hey, in the next section of life, you need to be locking down a female. I yield the floor. Do you have any notes on that one?
Yeah. I think what I would teach is the reality of your desires and all this. So this is what I would mainly teach. You could get caught up in anything. I want you at all times to protect yourself. At all times, whatever you get caught up in, don't let the caught up make you permanently caught up. Protect yourself, right? If you go out there having an experience, you want to try this, just protect yourself. I would nail that into my young man's mind. Protect yourself. I was doing a show with Young Thug and Mano on Revolt a couple years ago. And there was this question, whose fault it is if a girl gets pregnant. And Mano was trying to make the point, but I told her I didn't want to have any kids, and I trusted her. And I told Mano they just couldn't get it at first. It doesn't matter if you trusted her or not. If the power is in your hand to protect yourself, and if you don't protect yourself, that's your fault. And he just couldn't stand. No, but I trusted her. Well, you shouldn't trust nobody when it's in the power of your hand.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's in your hands. I said, if I had my son and my son came and told me I got this girl pregnant, but she told me that she was on the pill, I would say it's your fault, because what did I tell you, son? Protect yourself at all times. That is the point, because kids are going to be experimental. They're going to do all kind of things. But if you nail that into their mind, that'd be the only thing that could save you and save him from a life of trouble with a bad experience because you did not tell him the most important thing. First, protect yourself, right? Protect yourself.
And I also want to throw one thing in there too to the gentleman, and we'll do this as well. I remember I had a course in high school, and they showed us STDs. I'm assuming it was HSV1 they were showing us. But whatever it was, I found it to be so disgusting, the images they were showing us. I found it to be so disgusting and repulsive that it created a level of paranoia in me that has never left. Like boy, they scared me straight. You hear me? I was like, I'm looking at the picture, like turning aside, like I'm like, what the hell is that? And it worked. You hear me? Like it worked. And so granted, what did they probably go out of their way to show me the most grotesque images possible? I'm sure they did, but it worked. And fear is a powerful thing, especially in the youth. And I think that, you know, at some level, we're all going to be programmed. And the question is, are you going to allow strangers to program your kids, or are you going to program them? Will it be your culture, or will it be the culture of others? And of the programmings, I think that one was most valuable. Although they might not have taught us the true science of transmissibility, they did teach us the behaviors of, as Dre said, protecting yourself. And it never left. They installed that program. Man, I've been running on it ever since. I don't trust a damn thing. I was out at Caravana looking at chicks like, why she got pimples on her butt? Yeah, I'm looking at everything, you dig? Because they have me paranoid, and rightfully so. And to this day, I still low key think STDs are like not real, because I never had one. And thank God. And I never had one because I've always carried the paranoia and the procedures that they taught us in that situation. And I think that that's a necessary education.
Oh, my remnant told me, I said, Young Thug. Thank you, remnant. It was Slim Thug in Mano. I did the.
Oh, you said Young Thug? Okay.
Yeah. Thank you, remnant. They got my back all the time. It was Slim Thug in Mano on the Revolt show a couple years ago. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Thank you for that correction. Yeah, but that's
Seven
right.
Writes, Seven Writes via PayPal. He writes, thank you. You helped me see myself as I actually am. Recently, you spoke on the disparity between IQ and EQ. I wasn't aware of how many of the challenges I faced that were the result of my lack of emotional maturity. Thank you again, sir. As I earn more, I'm contributing more. Shout out and happy that you shared that, because so many of us don't have our emotions under control. It's one of the saints I want to talk to. I'm not going to say his name. He was boxing, and of course, you're gonna get frustrated when you getting you hear me, you getting touched up. But he has great boxing skills, and he was boxing someone bigger than him. But I think he could have won if he kept his mind together. But his mind started falling apart. I got to remember to reach out to him. Alan writes via PayPal, the two powerhouses back at it again. Man, I'm telling you, we need this Quet and Dre segment every now and then. Love to see Andre back again. Thank you both. Oh, absolutely. It's already done. Shout to Travis. He came in supporting the work. And I also acknowledge via Cash App. Victor writes, came in with the first bowler alert. He writes, the overdue tithes and tuition. Salute to you both. Appreciate you. May I also acknowledge Gary came in supporting the work using the Stripe link. Shout out to the second bowler alert. Kyle writes, using the tools of your enemy in a positive way allows you to introduce them while protecting and educating our youth. Very good point. Marquett's example of the smart board or tablet is a great example. We produce and introduce our content on the medium, not the billion-dollar degeneracy machine. You better believe it. And shout out to Kyle, who was also at the Assassin Canada event. Carter writes, peace of saints, tuition for this masterful and meaningful work. Absolutely. May I also acknowledge a double baller alert. Shout out to Teddy comes in with the double baller alert. He writes, peace of the saints and Gorgeous Dre. And this is great ism. No great wisdom. Thank you, gentlemen, for blessing us. Absolutely. Shout out to Teddy, always consistent, supporting. You were saying?
Well, I wanted to say something about when I was younger, very sexually active, because that was my point of reference. That made me feel important, that I could sleep with as many girls that I want. I think one time when I was younger, tallied up 16. Well, before I was 16, I slept with 30 girls. Right.
Damn.
At the time of 16.
Yeah, you beat me.
Yeah. So I was just really active and having a good time dealing with different nationalities, different all kind of girls or whatever. Right. So then I had a religious experience at 16 that slowed that down into the Christian church and went through that whole fiasco, right? But what I'm saying is that when I began to grow and develop, when I got into the lifestyle, right, the P lifestyle, there were some things that I was able to take from the P lifestyle that are beneficial to today that taught me value, right? I was talking to one of my wives. I got 2 wives, but I was talking to one of them and I was like, you know, when I present myself and I'm talking to you, I'm talking to her, and when I'm talking to you and when I'm saying to you, I'm not the kind of man that you'll ever have to worry about being quote unquote unfaithful. You think unfaithful means that's a man is sleeping with another woman. That is not unfaithful. Unfaithful is that
Talk
you lie.
about it.
That's unfaithful, right? But American
One more time for the people. One more time.
You think that being unfaithful is going to sleep with another woman. That is not unfaithful. Unfaithful is that you lied. It's the lie that is the unfaithful, right? So American culture has taught women that being unfaithful is a man that goes and frequents another woman. No, the unfaithful is the primary, the lie before this act, right? Now, if a man is transparent with the woman that he's dealing with and saying that, you know, I'm not monogamous and these are the things that I do, and I want you to know up front to give you the opportunity to decide whether you want to be with who I am, how could that be unfaithful? As a matter of fact, that's honest, that's integrity, that's manly. You see what I'm saying? So I was telling her, you never have to worry about me being that way, not because I'm worried about you, but because of who I feel I am. I'm not going to lend myself to no female. I'm Dre, right? I'm a high commodity man, and I'm not about to have girls out there just talking about, oh yeah, I slept with Dre. It's not going to happen. I feel so superior about who I am as a man that I'm not lending myself to no woman. If it happens, it has to be a purpose. There has to be a purpose. So for instance, there are some of my understudies that have studied up underneath me, and they talk about, now listen very carefully, what a woman brings to the table. A woman got to bring something to the table, right? On a smaller scale, it sounds cute. It sounds like you are a very powerful person that you are expecting a woman to bring something to the table. Well, that's because he's not a conqueror, right? In the height that he's reached in his game, his level of understanding, the height is, I feel so special that a woman has to bring something to the table. I want you to get this, right? Because this is real high level consciousness. He feels, and he's a very popular guy out there, a woman got to bring something to the table to mess with me. And I told him, you think that sounds powerful, but to a woman that is very powerful, a multi-billionaire woman or a multi-hundred millionaire woman, you look like an undeveloped individual. You wouldn't be able to reach her because that kind of woman will see you as a person that is a manipulator and a user to say that I need somebody to bring something to the table because it's what you're playing for, right? And, you know, in American P, I said, I'm playing for big stakes. So listen to what I'm talking about. So they would never have access to knocking the mayor off like I did. Knocking the U.S. senators off. They play too small. They can't see it. They think they got to bring something to the table. All you're saying is that you don't have it all together. That's what you're really saying to a woman of that elite status. You are a person that don't have it all together, that you need me to assist you in your lack. You need me to assist you in your lack. That's what it says to that level of woman. Instead of me attracting that level of woman by saying there's nothing you could offer me. There's nothing I need for you. See, I could play for her doing something for me because I don't need nothing from you. But if you from the beginning telling her, I need you to bring something to the table, and this is a woman that's so powerful, see you like a little ant. See you like a manipulator and a user. You could never reach a woman like that. So I'm telling him, you're playing yourself short, young fella. You think you're saying something powerful because that's the popular thing to say in the Manosphere and all that. A woman got to bring something to the table. or Kevin Samuels, you got to bring something to the table. No, you can't do nothing for me. I am complete. That give me access to her. And not only access to her, that makes her come appropriately. So her billions and everything are accessible to me because, broad, I don't need nothing you got. I'm totally complete right now without you, or whatever, right? That makes that kind of woman bow down and find interest in you as a man. And your value as a man becomes higher than the wealth that she possesses. The manhood comes to the top. But when you saying a woman got to bring something to the table, that kind of woman's looking at you like a little ant. Bring something to the table, you little ant. But he didn't understand that. He still says it to this day. A girl got to bring. So that's what all you little cats out there that might have a little money, that's just a little successful. That's what you guys all say, right? You all say it because you think it makes you look superior. In the eyes of the ultra elite, it makes you look small. It makes you look undone. You need her help to make you be somebody. You could never reach her. To see, I'm playing for big stakes. Even now, listen to me. Let me let you in on a secret. The way I move, I want to attract Sheba. You know who Sheba is? Queen Sheba, who came to come look at Solomon. There was something she heard about Solomon, and she came bearing gifts at that level because Solomon didn't need nothing from her. And he gave that energy off. And when you give the energy, what you give off is covering. Listen to me. When you give the energy off that you are self-contained and you don't need anything from her, what you give off to an elite woman is the covering you can provide for her. But if you're giving off the energy that she needs to bring something to the table, the covering that's valuable to her is lacking. You miss an opportunity to have access to that type of woman because you don't have covering to provide for her. She's asking for covering. How can you cover somebody that you need something from? How you gonna cover somebody you need something from? And I tried to tell him, and every time you say that, you kill yourself off from that high-powered, multi-billionaire woman because you can't provide any covering because you look needy. I'm giving you guys $1 billion game.
Dre, I'm thinking, since you're speaking against something folks have heard frequently and from individuals they admire, they're saying, well, gee, that can't be right. And then they're asking themselves, well, Dre, if she's not bringing anything to the table, well, what is she bringing? What's her function? How do I qualify her?